If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you're either a brand new saddle hunter or you're looking to learn and grow as a saddle hunter. When I first switched to a saddle, I quickly learned that there are some things that only experience will teach you, but there are some tips and tricks that will help you shorten the learning curve. After more than 5 years of trial and error hunting from a saddle, in this video, I'm going to share 3 of the best tips and tricks I've learned over those years of saddle hunting. There's a bit of a startup cost associated with switching to a saddle. Obviously, you need a saddle, a platform, climbing sticks, a lineman's rope, a tether, and carabiners. But a very easy way to save almost $50 when starting out is to skip the accessory pouches. This simple process, called a daisy chain, eliminates the need for pouches and allows you to shorten your rope by turning one long cord like a lineman's rope or a tether into a smaller braid that's much more compact and manageable. If you're interested in this, there are much more detailed tutorials on YouTube, but to give you an idea of the process, I'll be demonstrating on my lineman's belt, which is girth hitched to my saddle. First, pull your Prusik knot or ascender to the very end of your rope against your stopper knot. Then simply take the rope in your hand and create a small loop with the base of the rope closest to your saddle. And pass a bite or small curved portion of the rope through that loop. This will create a second loop. Pass another bite through the loop you just created, and simply repeat this process until you reach the end of the rope and the entire rope is daisy chained. Then, clip your carabiner to the final loop you made. This will close the chain and keep everything together. Now, you can use this carabiner to clip the other end of the chain to your saddle. You can either clip it to the same lineman's loop that the rope is already connected to, or stretch it around the back of your saddle and connect it to the other side, which is what I prefer to do. Personally, I prefer this process to stuffing a rope into a pouch because it prevents tangling, keeps rope separate and organized, and because a belt pouch on your saddle can conflict with a waist belt on a pack. The best part of this technique is that when you're ready to use your rope, you can easily deploy it completely tangle-free by simply unclipping the carabiner and pulling the rope out of the braid. The rope should pull out very easily and be ready to use in even less time than if you had placed it inside a pouch on your saddle. Moving on to the second tip. This is my preferred solution to the dreaded weak side shot. To execute a weak side shot, most people suggest you stand on your platform as if it were a tree stand with your back to the tree, pass your bow underneath the tether, and execute the weak side shot as if you were standing in a tree stand. Personally, I've never attempted this with a deer in shooting range, but I can't imagine I would get away with all that movement on the same side of the tree that the deer's on without getting busted. So the method I suggest for a weak side shot is to use your top climbing stick and your platform together, almost like a ring of steps. This method does require some planning before you climb your tree. It's crucial that you leave your top stick at or slightly above the height of your platform and 90 to 120 degrees around the tree from your platform. When you see a deer moving towards your weak side, you move your body around the back side of the tree and use the tree as cover to hide your movement from the deer. Step onto your climbing stick and leave one foot on your platform, then move both feet onto the climbing stick. This should allow you to get most of the way around the tree and execute a weak side shot without risking excess movement on the same side of the tree as the deer you're trying to hide from. This does depend slightly on the size of your tree. If the tree's too small, it won't hide your movements as well, and if it's too big, you might have a hard time getting all the way around the back side of the tree. But on a normal sized tree that I would hunt out of, it seems to work well. Quick note here, this should go without saying, but I strongly encourage you to practice this before you're on a hunt to figure out the small nuances of the movement and gain confidence before you're feeling the adrenaline rush of a shot opportunity. Like anything in saddle hunting, the more you practice, the more comfortable you're going to feel, and it's always best to practice before you're 20 feet up in a tree. Now moving on to the third and final tip, which is my favorite of this series. If you've ever hunted from a saddle, you've probably experienced this extremely annoying situation. You have pressure on your tether, and as soon as you take the pressure off the rope to adjust or stand up, the loop slips and your tether falls down the tree. This happens often and it's extremely frustrating. I'm going to share 2 very simple fixes to this issue. The first and my preferred method is to use castration bands on your tether. Now, this method does require you to purchase bands, but thankfully a near lifetime supply of 120 bands and a tool to install them costs less than $10 on Amazon. Once you have the necessary tools, simply put a band on the installation tool and stretch it over the eye of your rope. It's as simple as that. Personally, I leave 2 or 3 bands on my rope, so if one breaks or wears out, I'll always have another one ready to go. And when you're hunting, you use your tether as usual. You feed the carabiner through the eye of the rope, and when you're all set, simply slide the band over to secure the loop around the lead end of the tether. This should apply gentle pressure to the line and keeps it in place even when you remove your body weight from the rope. The second option is to use a simple girth hitch. Personally, I find this option to be a little bit more of a hassle, but it requires no tools other than the rope itself. To do the girth hitch, instead of putting the carabiner through the eye of the rope as normal, first create a second loop by feeding a bite through the eye of the tether. Then use this newly formed loop as the new eye of your rope. Once your tether's in place, simply snug down on the hitch, and there you go. As you hunt, your body weight will tighten down even more on the hitch, and it'll stay in place even when you aren't applying weight to the rope, just like the first method. Listen, if you're watching this and you're an experienced saddle hunter, you have some tips and tricks of your own, I would love for you to leave them in the comments. My hope is that people watching this video will get a lot of value from the video as well as the comment section. And if I see some interesting feedback that I haven't heard of before, I'll make a follow-up video in the future. If you made it all the way to the end and you got value out of this video, I would really appreciate you liking this video and subscribing to my channel. There's going to be a lot more videos similar to this in the future, so thank you so much for watching.